might as well start from the start. Do you remember starting in your club as a young fella, or?
Yeah, I do. Being brought down to the hurling field with my dad, it's a time that sticks in every GAA player's mind. The first time you get into the field and you're with friends of yours and there's coaches all a bit unusual and all that like. But yeah, I do. I remember a guy by the name of Jody Spooner had come down to the club to structure, I suppose, the training that we had. And I can remember clearly in the back pitch, we call it now, getting that bit of coaching, you know, and my number ones and your number twos in a line and things like that would stick in my head, yeah.
And many of the lads that you started with, are they still playing today?
Yeah, they are, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because of my age, I suppose my playing career has lasted longer than a lot of them, but now I see them getting involved in the club on the coaching side, because they understand the feeling they had when they walked into the field and how welcome you are in your local club and parish, you know, and how they're delighted to have you down there, so they want to give something back as well. So you'll always find that past players will drift back into coaching of younger kids, not in a big competitive sense, but more to keep them interested in the game and pass on the knowledge they have.
And when did it start getting serious?
The real first competitive touch I'd have had at club level was under 14. I was trying to get on the Tipperary under 14 Tony Forstall team at the time, so you're always aware then that there'd be someone watching you at the games because you were going to trials and things like that. So I suppose that's the first sense of competitiveness I would have had. And
then you were about 17 or something when you made your kind of senior.
Yeah,
was that in goal or were you outfield or?
With my club.
With your club,
yeah. Club, yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I was actually subbed to my dad for a year, and then I played out the field. Yeah, my first time playing with the club because my dad was in the goals, and then after that, then I made him retire, and I got the goalkeeping spot. But yeah, it is something you'd always remember is playing with your club, especially at an adult grade as well. You know, it's a fantastic to watch the sidelines of the players and then to actually be involved in them it's a great experience.
And what was that like stepping up to the senior? Is it much of a step up for a 17-year-old to make?
It is, yeah. It's a responsibility really is the thing, you know. I mean, you've watched over the years going to matches and all that, and then you think is your chance, and really at that age that's your inter-county team you've made, you know. Obviously further down the line if you play out the club there's higher teams to play on, we'll say, but certainly the club is the be all and end all when you're 18 or 19 and you get to wear the jersey. It's a fantastic feeling.
And then I suppose it'd probably be good to chat about the final losses. Could you tell us about the 1 point loss?
Yeah, it's the only thing I equate it to is losing any All-Ireland final I've ever lost, when you walk through the Burlington after the match and the Tip supporters are there and you're filing along and you don't really want to make eye contact because you feel you let people down. And that's the experience that I had when we lost. We lost to Upper Church in Tipperary town Sunday night, the date nearly, and afterwards when you go back, the build up to the game is all about obviously we've a right chance of winning this, we can go senior, and our club hadn't been senior for back in the 70s, you know, so it was a massive occasion, and then when you lose, I mean, you're meeting people around the parish. It's not just that Burlington entrance and it's over with. You wake up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're still meeting the faces again, like around the place, you know. And it just, you feel you feel let people down, but you've really sad with them, I suppose, that the big prize hadn't been achieved, and you feel the hurt and pain, I suppose. And there's a quiet time around the parish for the weeks after it. It's amazing the amount of energy that people invest, the supporters in club, to follow their club team and the connection they have with it, because there's always somebody related to you playing in that game.
But what's it like when you've lost a match and then the other supporters are coming on and it's just happiness around you and you're just...
Yeah, it is. It's difficult. It's when the final whistle blows, everybody runs by you. Then you know you've lost, right? And then after that, you think of all the effort you've put in, and you become a little bit about yourself. You know, it's a pity I didn't win, and a pity this thing. But then you look around you and you look at your teammates, and then the realisation is we didn't achieve the goal together we'd set out. And then you walk off the pitch, and always the genuine club guy will always come in and put the arm around you. He's the guy who's probably lying in the field, or the guy who has trained you when you were under 14 and just happened to go to the game, you know. So the real genuine people will come onto the pitch and nearly help you off, for the want of a better way of putting it. And that's when it really sinks in, because you can see the hurt in their eyes and the disappointment, you know, and disappointment for you more so than they giving out about the fact you lost the game. They know how much you invested in it. They know how much it means to the parish and how much you understand it means to that parish. So when those genuine people come in and help you off the pitch, that's when the tears start flowing after club games for me, you know, because you can see it in them how much it means to them. And they've taken the time to come in and help you off the field for all the world and not leave you being your own. and that means an awful lot after games, and it hits the heartstrings then, of course.
The dressing room as well, I suppose, 'cause as spectators, that's the one bit we don't get to see, is when you go in the door and then what happens.
It's tough, like, there's no doubt about that, because outside, when the whistle is gone, that feeling that's just over and you've been beaten and you've all the demons run into your head. Then from there, then the cup there's still a roar around you and there's still a bit of action going on or something to look at. But when you sit down inside and dressing room, we lost the game, all there is eye contact with the players around you. And if you haven't played particularly well, or whether you've been man of the match, it doesn't make any major amount of difference when you look into the eyes of one of your colleagues and see the sadness there and see it all being taken away. There's no words really that anyone can say. Sometimes players stand up in the dressing room and say a few words, and that really can galvanise the team for the next year. And really that turns the focus. That happened this one year with Declan Fanning. He gave an unbelievable few words in 2009 after we lost the All-Ireland final, and it galvanised us for the following year, there's no doubt about that. But silence is normally the thing that happens.
And then in the last 5 minutes where you realise it's on the line here, or you've got to perform, do you get that little kind of increase in heartbeat?
Yeah, I do. I think that's what makes any sports person who wants to achieve it, and that's the area they need to be in, and that's where they perform at their best, is when the heart is thumping. I mean, like, you keep your head when others around you are losing theirs. I mean, that separates the good sports person from the bad. I think how you can react to your body thumping and the lactic acid building out of nerves in your arms, and you can't hit the ball or puck out the ball and you feel tired because the nerves and all. The good player copes with that and moves on and just focuses on the now and that minute in time. They don't worry about the result. But certainly, yeah, the player who's the ordinary club player sometimes can get choke, I suppose, on a big occasion, because they're not used to their heart beating at that speed. But I think for top inter-county players, that's just seen as the norm for us.
And how do you get to a point where you can cope with that?
Yeah, sports psychologists and trial and error, really. For me, routine is what helps my body get used to a big event. I know exactly what I'm going to do from the Tuesday, whether it be a club game, and is revved up obviously for a county match right through till the Sunday at 3:30 when the ball is thrown in. So my body is preparing for that event over a 4-day period, rather than the morning of the match waking up and after the fry going, yeah, I'm going to play an All-Ireland final today. You know, your body goes into shock then at that stage. So you're right, the mental approach is absolutely massive at any level, and I'm not sure whether every club or county team is embracing that as much as they should, because certainly you're putting amateur players into an arena of 80,000 people, or a club game with 5,000 or 6,000 people in. It's the same difference. The player still wants to win, but sometimes the mind can block you from doing that, and then your ability then obviously lets you down because you're not free to play.
If you kind of had gotten over the line in that county final, or even the All-Ireland club final, if you got to, on Paddy's Day, if you got there, what would it mean to the town?
It's up to be just unbelievable for our parish if something like that was to happen. The lift it would give everybody would be the first thing. They'd be saying recession, what recession around the place. Anytime we've gotten to a final, the colour that's put up around the place, the bunt and the good luck signs are put outside the local shops, things like that. So you can imagine that going on steroids, we'd say, and going through the roof, you know, would be just unbelievable. And I think a town or a village would live off of an occasion like that for years to come. And they'd be pulling out the video of the build-up and the whole lot for years and years. So, I mean, it has a long-term effect when a club gets to a final, and it would be unbelievable for my parish to get to another county final. Would be our All-Ireland club, to be honest about it. You know, if we get that far, it'd be great.
And there's something interesting, I think, in all sports as well, what's called a cup run, I suppose, where... And what is that? Is it just confidence begets confidence? Or?
It is, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. It's all about confidence, and players believing is the key word, that they can do it. And when a lucky break happens and you win a match that you probably shouldn't have won, the manager comes in then and says, look lads, you put in the work, you put in the effort, and you got the lucky break. So that encourages you then to go train the next night even harder. So subconsciously you put it in your head that I'm going to win this thing. You know, and then when you're a point down the next day, you don't even dream about losing, because then just have, look, our name is on the trophy here, like, and everyone in the 15 and everyone in the 30 who've travelled on the bus together on that day all believe that their name is on the trophy. And when that happens within a group of players, like, it's unbelievable what you can achieve. And when a manager says, look, we got the lucky break, we can do it this year, instills belief, and then off you go then from there. It's very hard to beat a team like that.
And have you come up against teams like that in the club championships, or where you you see them coming on a run, and how does it feel like being on the other end of that?
Yeah, it has, because the psychology then is that the manager in the opposing dressing room is saying, this crowd have been going well all year, lads. So it paints a picture in his team's mind straight away that the team they're going to play are very good, and possibly you won't beat him. So the language that he's using out there is certainly helping in a negative for you and a negative impact on the opposition. So you're right, Kilkenny have done it for years. Before they go out, you're nearly bet by Kilkenny, because everyone's telling you what's going to happen in the first 5 minutes, and more often than not it happens, because everybody, and whether we like it or not, always tries to prove themselves right. So we told you Kilkenny would come at us, and guess what, I was right, they did, and that's what happens at club level as well.
And is there any particularly bad matches where you're thinking, God, it's going to take me a few days to pick myself up after this one? Or
yeah, there is. I mean, obviously the county finals we'd lost, but my first South final, so in 19, I remember losing it, and what stuck for me was not so much my own sadness of it, because I was young fella then, like, and really, look, there's always next year, but looking around the dressing room at the older lads, and like to see grown men like who were hardy men, like with nearly tears in their eyes, like. And now that I'm at the other end of the road, where I'm at the retirement stage at Tipperary, I know exactly what they felt like, because that was their last opportunity to win something. And they looked on young fellas like me, I suppose, as being the injection that they needed to give them the belief that, yeah, we can do it. We've a couple of good young fellas now, and this might be the good send-off. And then to see that taken away from them, like, you know, I really feel now I know what their emotions were, looking back that 20 years ago when that happened, you know. So that's what's sticking in my head.
And then I suppose the retirement, was that a tough decision to make?
After the Kilkenny game, I obviously put a lot of thought into it, and I decided that, look, well, for my family, number one, and for Tipperary then obviously it's just the right thing to do. And I don't think any sports person playing at that level wants to walk away, but I didn't want to be the person who hung around too long or held somebody else back, or someone say down the road, well, you gave that year too long, didn't you, Brendan? So I'm happy now on that basis that I've made the right decision.
And where does the club fit into that then? Will you be able to still keep going with the club? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. The club is, like I've always said before, that I start with the club. Tipperary might want me along the line, and my club will always be there in the background when Tip don't want me anymore, or I retire from Tip. And that's exactly where it is. I'd love to play with my club till my legs can't carry anymore, to be honest with you, you know, because the club has done so much for me, you know. I mean, while we said about the club and the 2 times I played, or the 2 codes I played with Tipperary, like, my club has made sacrifice along the line that I haven't been able to train with them, you know. But every time I come back to the club field, you meet a smile on everybody's face, you know. There's nobody saying, oh, you should be here training. They appreciate what I'm trying to achieve with Tipperary and how I'm trying to represent my club playing with Tip, and that means a lot to them. And when I go back down to the club then to meet the faces, there's never anybody saying, oh, here's the county fella in, or anything like that, you know. You're just a warm embrace every time you walk down to the field, which is a special feeling for me, you know, and something I carry up to training with Tipperary. And
will you be able to, like, do you have plans to go into coaching or anything, or will you start coaching with the...
Well, we're talking about club now. I'm with my club's under 6 team at the moment. I'm starting at grassroots again at the very bottom, but it's something maybe later on down the road, alright, that'll come across my path, and hopefully when that time comes, my life experience of the next 2, 3, 4 years, however long, will put me in a position to put my best foot forward at county level, certainly if the opportunity comes my way to manage Tipperary.
In your opinion, why would the All-Ireland Club Championships, why would it be the toughest?
Because you're relying on players within the parish, and in the current environment it's difficult to hold players, and you've held players all year, and they've won an awful lot more matches and gone through an awful lot more harsh weather to get to a final and win their divisional final, then go through the provincial championship, then go through an All-Ireland semi-final, and then get to a final. So there's so many obstacles in your way. And if you lose a player along the way through injury, your whole season could go. You know, you can't just replace them like a county team with another player. So you have to mind your players. You have to make sure that they're looked after along the way. You have to keep their confidence buoyed on a very tight budget in an awful lot of clubs. So that's what makes the club championship, I think, so special. That players can do all these things on a shoestring and still produce unbelievable games as if they're inter-county speed and standard.